Thursday night football, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers leading the Cleveland Browns by a score of 14-13. Definitely, I don't think what we were expecting at this point. We got a close game with Pittsburgh leading instead of trailing. So that does change things a little bit. Right now we can see Pittsburgh still the underdog, just barely, but they are 1 point ahead. And what that's going to do kind of throws this game into the balance a little bit. We don't know which way this game's going to go. Teams are looking pretty much to be right on pace with their passing splits. The total plays does look like it's going to maybe increase a little bit. What I'm seeing here, of course, Pittsburgh tends to play faster in the second half. My colleague Billy Ward has talked about that several times this year. And when we got a close game here, they're going to be pretty neutral. So Pittsburgh pushing the tempo a little bit, Cleveland being a little slower, and then kind of neutral. I think we're just going to see overall neutral pace. We're kind of neutral on the passing splits. So kind of where we expect it to be, other than Pittsburgh having the lead right now. So when we come over and look for player props, let me look at each player's passing yardage prop. I'm seeing 230.5 for Jacoby Brissett and 213.5 for Trubisky. So I am showing over on both of these. Trubisky a little bit more so. That one's a scary one because they definitely were pretty run heavy in the first half. The Brissett one over maybe looks a little bit better, but I think instead what we want to do is we want to maybe look at receiving props if we're going to see those overs and see if we can find some value in the receiving market. So let me start plopping in some numbers here for receiving props. So we've got Najee Harris at 11.5 receiving yards. We have George Pickens at 45.5. We have Chase Claypool at 36.5. We've got Deontay Johnson at 74.5. He's been having a big game so far. And let's see, we got Amari Cooper at 57.5. We've got Donovan Peoples-Jones at 23.5. And coming down here, we have David Njoku, who has also been having a monster game at 86.5. And Freiermuth at 15.5. So are we seeing any value? Looks like a lot of 60-40 here. Najee Harris at 62.2% to the over. Kareem Hunt also looking at 74.7% to the over. If I'm seeing, oh no, I didn't add his in. So now he's looking right on in line there. So I think the biggest over we've got now is Freiermuth for Pittsburgh. So sure, I like that one simply because Pittsburgh has been run heavy so far this game, other than that last drive there, and they've been having a lot of success with runs. So I think they'll probably end up into that game plan. So let's go look at the rushing props instead. We have Harris at let's go with Chubb. We have Chubb at 94.5. We've got Kareem Hunt at 36.5. We have Harris at 75.5. And we've got Jaylen Warren. Looks like his odds are off the board right now. So let me just put that as 0. So looking at rushing props, we've got 60% likely that Kareem Hunt goes over, 59% likely. So if you liked that pregame, if you tailed Sean Koerner pregame, then I would pass on that. If you didn't tail Sean Koerner pregame, I think there could be some sneaky value here. it's tough to say because Pittsburgh is going to start with the ball, and we probably will see Nick Chubb on the first drive of the second half. So what I would look to do instead of actually betting this 36.5, I would wait until Pittsburgh's first drive of the second half. If Kareem Hunt doesn't get any touches, that might be the time to bet the over on the second half as well, especially if Pittsburgh fails their first drive. If they fail to score, that means it's more likely that Cleveland is going to win the game because Pittsburgh won't score. So Cleveland's win probability will go up if Pittsburgh doesn't score on their first drive. And then once Nick Chubb has a few carries or Cleveland just has that first drive and it seems like Hunt doesn't get any touches, that would be the time to bet the over. So right now, unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot that I am seeing because we've got a neutral pace. We've got about a neutral passing situation. And with Pittsburgh starting with the ball and having been more rush heavy so far in this game, even though I am showing some value on these Pittsburgh receiving overs and also Mitch Trubisky's passing over, I think it's a pretty tough situation here to feel confident. Now, maybe we could look at something like passing attempts for Brissett. So we're projecting him for 15.5 the rest of the game. He has 21 right now, so that would put him at 36.5 passing attempts. And what am I seeing for passing attempts? I am seeing 35.5. So nothing there really, and with a little bit of juice to the over, not seeing any value there. For Trubisky, we are showing 30.8, and they are starting with the ball. There is some juice to the over there as well. So if you can find a 29.5 with maybe a minus 110 or an even money, I would bet that. But right now, as far as what I am seeing in terms of lines, I'm not seeing anything showing that we should be betting that passing prop there either. So sometimes this happens. Sometimes you just have some leans. You just have some things that are close to showing value, but not showing complete value. So I'm not going to force any bets here. But what I will say, what I really do like is if Pittsburgh does not score on their first drive, and then we see Nick Chubb get rolled out for the first drive of the second half for Cleveland, then if you didn't tail Sean Kerner earlier and betting Kareem Hunt's over on his rushing yards, I'd look to live bet the over after Cleveland's first drive if Pittsburgh does not score, especially if Cleveland does score. Then I would really like to bet Kareem Hunt's over on his yardage. So I think that's the play here. And I could keep talking, but right now there just isn't enough value. The market looks pretty sharp per my model. So we're not going to force any bets. We're going to lean with Kareem Hunt's over on his rushing yards. But what we're really going to do is we're going to, again, wait for the end of the first drive for Pittsburgh and then the end of the first drive for Cleveland. If Cleveland either stays down by 1 point or, takes the lead, definitely would look to bet Kareem Hunt's live over on his rushing yards, right? So if we have a median for the rest of the game on him at 22.2 right now, and he currently has 18, so that would be around 40.5. But again, they're not going to get the ball, and we'll have to wait and see what Pittsburgh does. But I'd look to live bet Kareem Hunt's over in that situation. That's all I've got, unfortunately. Not any bets today, just some leans, but a good situation to keep an eye on. So that'll do it for this halftime. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. Enjoy the second half, everybody, and we'll see you bet what happens live on Monday Night Football.